Oh, hello there. I didn't notice you. What's this, you ask? Well, this is 1776 by John McCullough. It's 294 pages. It was published in 2005 by Simon & Schuster. Who's David McCullough? Oh, well, he was born on July 7th, 1933 in Pittsburgh to Ruth and Christian Hacks McCullough. He was one of 4 sons, and he had a very good childhood filled with sports and cartoon writing. He later attended Yale and was a member of the Skull and Bones Society. After college, his first real success as an author was The Johnstown Flood, which he wrote during his time at Sports Illustrated. And following, he has written many more American history novels. 2 of his novels on American history have actually won Pulitzer Prizes, and they were John Adams and Truman. But what's 1776 about? Well, it's a very factual but almost story-like telling of the events that transpired from the fall of 1775 to the early days of 1777 during the Revolutionary War. It starts out talking about King George III declaring war on America and deeming them an actual threat. And on the Continental Army side, it talks about George Washington being appointed the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, and also Charles Lee, his second-in-command. Washington appoints 2 generals that are prominent throughout this book, being Nathaniel Greene and Israel Putnam. Now, the Continental Army was extremely undisciplined and very filthy, and as a result, a plague of smallpox and many other diseases caused thousands of casualties to the Continental Army, and the lack of discipline there was a result of many deserters. After the losses the British suffered at Bunker Hill, they retreated into Boston. And after some strategic placement of American troops, the British retreated from Boston and headed for New York. General Washington fortified New York, but they were no match for the nearly 400 British ships that came to occupy the bay outside New York. Following the defeat and retreat from Brooklyn, the American troops suffered many subsequent defeats, such as at Kips Bay, White Plains, and the loss of Fort Washington. But things started to turn around after that, with the capture of Trenton from the Hessians, with 4,600 men of the Continental Army and almost 0 casualties. 1776 was a very terrible year for the Continental Army, and I will read a passage from the book about that. The year 1776 is over, and I am heartily glad of it, and I hope you nor America will ever be plagued with such another. Robert Morris wrote to Washington on New Year's Day, but the campaign was not over just yet. 1776 was an extremely well-written book. It was extremely detailed, and the amount of research that went into it was absolutely remarkable. I would recommend this book to anybody that loves history. I love history, I love learning about it, I think it's extremely interesting, and I love this book. But if you don't share my enthusiasm for history, you will think it's an extremely boring, extremely dry, long-winded read, and you won't like it. So if you love history, read this book.
Alright, man.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. What's this, you ask?
Damn it!
Yeah!
Okay.
The passage!
God, you're laughing because Brandon's doing something.
I couldn't handle that one.
That was good, that was good. You can cut that out. And awesome, come on.
Yeah, let's try this.
Get out of the way.
Boom! Okay.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh!
So I have to wear my first cut.
Oh!